Hi, I'm Anna, and welcome to this Sommpour Deep Cut. When I think back to my earliest months of D3 study, there was one feeling that stayed with me longer than I expected. That quite uneasy moment before the first sip. It's not fear or panic, just uncertainty. Because tasting isn't really about identifying aromas, it's about recognizing decisions. The vineyard choices, the cellar choices, the climate story, the human hand behind the glass. And when you're new to blind tasting, the wine feels like it knows all the answers and you're the one catching up. It took me a long time to realize it doesn't have to feel that way. You can build a structure that steadies you, a rhythm, a way of thinking. And that's why the Sommpour flight plan exists. 5 sips, 5 steps. Not for guessing faster, but for thinking clearer. A loop that mirrors how theory teaches you to reason. So today, I want you to imagine 3 glasses in front of you, and I want you to breathe. We're going to walk through this together. Sip 1. Lock in structure. Your first sip is not about fruit, it's about region. It's not about origin stories or typicity or anything poetic. It's purely structural. Sweetness, acidity, tannin. These are your fixed markers. They don't care about your nerves, they don't bend to your imagination, they simply are. And this is where most candidates go wrong. They start with aromas which are slippery, structure is not. This is your anchor sip, it steadies you. Sip 2. Deduce climate and winemaking. Now, your second sip asks you a different question. How ripe is the fruit? How warm was the sun? How much alcohol sits behind this wine? Body, alcohol, ripeness. These three whisper clues about the growing environment and the choices in the winery. High alcohol and jammy fruit, that's warmth, maybe heat. A creamy mid palate, that could be lees or MLF or riper fruit. These are not guesses, these are deductions. The same cause and effect thinking you use in your theory essays. You're already connecting the dots. Sip 3. Build the quality argument. Sip 3 is the moment you begin assembling your case for quality. Balance, intensity, complexity. You're not just tasting flavors, you're testing their clarity. How defined is the citrus? How layered is the spice? How does it sit in the mid palate? This is where Blick becomes a living thing in your hands, not a checklist, a reasoning tool. Sip 4. Find your banker and confirm the finish. Every flight has a wine that speaks most clearly. A wine that says, "This is who I am, use me to understand the others." That is your banker wine. Sip 4 is about identifying it and grounding the whole flight around its typicity, its structure, its finish. And let me say this plainly, finish is not just length. Finish is the journey the wine takes you after you swallow, the persistence of flavor, the echo of structure, the proof of quality. This sip is your benchmark. Sip 5. Recheck and conclude. Your final sip is a quiet one. It's not for reinventing your note, it's for confirming what you already know. This is where panic often tries to slip in. Maybe I should change my call. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I should start again. No. SIP 5 is about clarity, not confusion. It's where you align your tasting logic with your theory logic and you close the loop. Why plan works? Works because it forces you to think in order. You're not chasing guesses. You're not chasing aromas. You're building evidence. Theory teaches you cause and effect. Tasting asks you to reverse engineer it. Flight plan is where those two meet. And here's the truth I want every D3 student to hear. You don't have to taste like a sommelier. You only have to think like a D3 candidate. And that requires structure, not flair. When you taste in this way, calmly, deliberately, tasting ceases to be intimidating. It becomes a conversation, a negotiation, a curiosity. And slowly, without realizing it, you begin to trust yourself, your palate, your reasoning. That's the real point of flight plan. Not to guess faster, but to think cleaner, to feel steadier, to feel a rhythm that belongs only to you. And if you want to explore this further, I've linked the full flight plan article below. It goes deeper into the mirror test, how tasting trains your theory and how theory clarifies your tasting. Thank you for being here. Thank you for studying with me. And remember, clarity comes sip by sip. I'll see you on the next deep cut.